Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll, Saturday, November 13th, 2021. Almost halfway through November already. We will be carving up that turkey before you know it and decking the halls and getting ready for Christmas in 2022. But prior to that, let's jump into today. A card that is so long, it is absolutely crazy. It's a kid in the candy store, an action junkie's dream. I mean, from college football to college basketball to NBA, NHL, UFC, NFL tomorrow. I mean, if you love sports, get the remotes for the batteries for the remote. Send the wife out shopping, the kids out to play outside, and let's get ready. So, without further ado, the man with the plan from the Palm Tree State himself, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scott, my brother, what is happening?
How we doing, Jeff? It's another day. It's been a good couple of days here with Thursday, Friday football games, and now we're right into Saturday.
It has been a good day. We jumped in to a handful of college basketball games already. We treaded lightly early this week with half-unit plays. We've hit some nice one-unit plays now. We're back to where we are with the other sports. Nice 3-0 day 2 days ago. And then last night, it's funny in this business, Scotty, and you know this very well, what the difference is with a 2-2 day versus a 3-1 day. And we were 2-1. And I always talk about trying to stay out of the marquee games. It's a battle that more often than not, you're not going to win. And our last game on the board, we had Villanova graded as a 3-point favorite, and they were catching 3.5 last night. And first half, they don't score the last 3.5 minutes. And instead of being up 5, they're down 2. Second half, they don't score the last 2.5 minutes, had the game won, and it goes to overtime. And you know this, once it goes to overtime, that's where dogs die. And, unfortunately for me, an East Coast guy, I was up till 2 in the goddamn morning following the damn game, and the wife rolls over and goes, "Are you going to sleep?" And I'm just like, 3-1 versus 2-2, like, yeah. But it's done. It's over with. We got an action-packed board today. How's things? What are you seeing? What's life in Tampa like?
Well, I've got an interesting story about yesterday's game. College football game. It's halftime. It's Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's playing South Florida. I think the score was 24-7 at halftime. And I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at the lines, and I'm like, I'm going to play this. I told you I'm now into this Seminole Casino, right? Hard Rock. We're able to bet legally, so they gave me just a little token free live bet. So I'm like, shit, I'm going to see what I can do with this thing. So interestingly enough, I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm trying to gauge. Cincinnati's just drilling this team. It's 24-7. They're not. South Florida's not doing a whole lot. So I'm like, well, I don't really want to count on South Florida to do anything. I don't think they're going to score a lot. But the line was team total Cincinnati minus 17.5 for the second half. Okay. And you were getting plus 110. So I was looking at that and looking at that and looking at that. And I'm going, all I got to do is score 3 touchdowns. And I get it. It's still 3 touchdowns. But Cincinnati has a lot to play for. They're a team trying to make the tournament, and they're trying to get to the end, and they're trying to be one of the ones in the playoff. So anyway, long story short, I go ahead and I make the play. So right out of the bat, they go down the field. They score a touchdown right at the beginning of the third quarter. No worries, right? So now I needed 17 and a half. Now I need 10 and a half points. And again, get the ball, go right down the field, score another touchdown. So there's my 14 points in the third quarter. So I'm like, shit, all we need is one touchdown in the fourth quarter. No problem. So when you know it, they get the ball at the beginning part of the fourth quarter. They got first and goal inside the 10-yard line. Then it becomes second and goal. Now it's third and goal at the 1. Well, they don't get in from the 1-yard line. And then it's fourth and goal from the 1, and they don't get in from the 1. They got a goal line stand against them. And I'm like, holy shit. At least we have 10 minutes to go, in the whole game or whatever it was. Maybe it was 10 to 7 minutes. I don't remember. Something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe what they'll do is maybe they'll tackle them and get a safety, and then I can get 2 points, and then I just need a field goal. And somewhere down the line, maybe they'll kick a field goal at the end of the game, and and I cover that way. So that doesn't happen. South Florida drives the whole length of the field and scores a goddamn touchdown. So then I'm like, shit. So now it takes the clock down. And I'm like, well, maybe that was a good thing because now Cincinnati needs to score a touchdown. Well, Cincinnati, they can't get anything going, so they punt. And then South Florida gets the ball. And now there's only like 4 minutes to go in the game. And they're down 10 points or whatever it is. And then they're driving. They get to midfield, and they end up with like 4th and 8 or something, and they can't convert. So turnover on downs. There's 2 minutes to go in the game. And I still need 3.5 points, for God's sakes. So then you run into the idea of we're going to run out the clock game, right? So they hand the ball off. And when you know it, the son of a bitch goes 55 yards for a touchdown. And we get the over, and I win the game. And I'm like, holy shit. They should have scored on 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1, but yet they're going to go 55 yards when it don't matter, and I win and cover the game. So just as you're talking about with the Villanova game and all that stuff, it does happen on the other side every once in a while.
Well, the same thing happened on the Boise State Wyoming game. And I got a lot of direct messages and texts, saying, listen, I'm always talking about the halftime and the end of the third quarter NBA phone calls. I call them, the NBA calling up, okay, guys, take off this quarter so we can get the other side. I mean, perfect example again, the Lakers last night. I think they were outscored 42-18 in the third quarter. Thanks for playing. But if you actually looked at that defensive play by the Boise State guy, the first guy, it was an absolute olay. He just like whiffs and he just turns around, and they're lollygagging. So I can see anyone that was back in Boise State saying, it looks a little shady. And even the Wyoming backer, a guy reached out, goes, hey, Jeff, I had Wyoming, and I'm scratching my head. That didn't look right, So again, with wagering becoming so prevalent in each of these states, it does open up your eyes. You're like, hey, especially in the NFL now, where these coaches and their new cheat sheets, there's no such thing as a field goal, inside the 10 or the 5. They're going for these touchdowns. It doesn't matter. Back in the old days, you took the 3 and you moved on. Now it's just like, no. Or going for a 4th and 4 from your own 40. And it's only the second quarter.
Yeah, I think that analytics has played a big role in some of that stuff. And I will tell you this. I don't care how much football you watch, and I really don't care how much basketball you watch. The truth is, you don't know that you've seen everything until you start betting baseball games. God damn it. You get the weirdest stuff that happens. You get guys, you'll get a pitcher that it comes into the game and your team's ahead by 1 run or something, and he's the closer, and they don't want to take the closer out of the game because he's got to get his save numbers and he's got to get this and that and whatever. And the first guy walks, and the second guy walks, and then he'll walk the third guy, and then sure as shit, he'll walk the 4th guy. And then you're just sitting there going, what the hell is going on with this stuff? These are multi-millionaire players multi-millionaire managers, and you left him out there and walked 4 guys, and now the bases are loaded and it's a tie game. So, wild pitches score runs, pass balls. A ball that's supposed to be caught by the catcher, it's a passed ball. He missed it. How can you miss a pitched ball to you? So there's a lot of stuff that happens in football games, and I understand all that. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in basketball games, but there is nothing, absolutely nothing more irritating than losing baseball games because a pitcher went out there and walked 4 straight guys.
And in today's, they got to stay there for the first 3 batters now, so it does make it hideous. I'm going to bring up, we're going to go to Wager Talk here. We're going to bring up the College Board, and I'm going to let you go start talking on what you like here. I just want to go to, I really like one play at noon, so I'm going to just dive in initially and just show you where I am on this, and then maybe you can give me your insights here. And I apologize to keep looking down. I get of course, we wait till 10:30 to get a show going, and then I get 25,000 people checking in. So that's a good thing for us, though. So apologies there. I'm going to 12 o'clock, okay? I'm going rotation number 153, 154. It's Northwestern and Wisconsin, okay? I got a 25.5 full game here, okay? But what I want to do is I want to peel some layers back here, okay? I'm going to take it to the first half here for a second, if the computer wants to work. And I'm showing, okay, Circa just went to 14.5. We released this at 14. So, again, Wisconsin, not a great offensive team. Good defensively, and now you got a Northwestern team. Okay, we gave out Wisconsin minus 14 first half. So I'm going to take this again to the next layer, and I'm going to pull up some team totals, or expected team totals, as we like to say. 17.5 under 124 for Wisconsin, a 0.5 point over for Northwestern 156. So Vegas is already trying to give you the lean that this could be a 17-0 game or somewhere in that ballpark. So now, of course, pick 6, kickoff return, punt return from Northwestern. This flips this whole thing. But I am seeing, a good chance here of a 17-0. Oh, that's obviously we're hoping 14 for the push, but 17-0 or better on Wisconsin first half. What do your numbers say there, Scotty?
Well, this particular game is an interesting game in a sense that Northwestern and EPA is 115th out of 130 teams. Wisconsin is 22nd. But what's interesting about it isn't that the variance is that big, because we already know Northwestern is not a very good football team. What's interesting is that the offense for Northwestern EPA was 115, and the offense for Wisconsin is 111. So then you got to go, what the hell's the difference here? You're talking a team that's 22nd in the country in EPA versus a team 115, yet their offenses are almost identical. So that's where it comes in that Wisconsin is number 2 in EPA on defense, number 2. So then you start to look at it and you go, okay, well, Northwestern's number 99 rushing against the number 1 defense against the run. And then they are number 100 passing against the number 2 passing defense. So how in the hell are they going to score? I mean, I don't think they're going to score. And then I got this other breakdown here that I think is even more telling. So there's quite a bit of different things on this report, but one of them is success rate for the offense for Northwestern. They rank 107, and on defense they rank 93. So even though we just said how bad the EPA was and how bad the offenses were, and they were really close, Wisconsin's success rate is 51%. That's not too bad. Their defense is number 2, so they're really good. So that tells me that Wisconsin's going to score in this game, and it tells me basically Northwestern's not going to score in this game. I think Northwestern is going to have a difficult time getting 6 points in this game. And if they're and it's in Wisconsin, so I'm all in on what you're talking about with that game.
Okay. All right, the board is yours. That was the one game at noon. I have another one which kind of leans that way at 2:00. If we have time, I'll get to that. And but the stage is yours, my brother.
Well, I played one game at noon, and I got 2 watches at noon. Meaning I'm watching the lines on it to see if the lines give me any kind of numbers. And I only played 4 bets, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games written down on my sheet, and I only bet 4 of them. So the game I played at noon, and I think this is going to be one that people are going to go, what the hell are you doing? But I played Kansas State. Kansas State is number 122 rotation number. I got them at -5.5. It's been bouncing back and forth from 5.5 to 6. And I think just a minute ago it was 6. I think it's 5.5 now. Or you can get 5.5 anyway.
5.5 across the Vegas Strip. It's at 6 at Salt Point, and it just dropped to 5 at DraftKings.
All right, so here's what we have in this game. First of all, we have Kansas State ranks 38th in EPA. West Virginia ranks 92nd. So that's a pretty big margin difference there. And where the difference is, it's not on defense, it's on offense. So West Virginia ranks 77th in offense on EPA, and Kansas State ranks 28th. And that's kind of balanced for Kansas State. They rank 31st rushing, 27th passing. So West Virginia ranks 74th rushing and 78th passing. So there's where the difference is. And it makes it so that when you're thinking about this game, they're at home, and you have a better offense. Okay, so theoretically they're going to score more points. But let's look at that for a minute. So another way that I looked at this grid and breakdown was the success rate. So we talked about the offense for Kansas State being much better on the EPA margin, but it's way, way better on offensive success rate. So success rate, they rank 9th in the country, and West Virginia ranks 64th. That's a big variance and a big difference. And even though Kansas State's defense and West Virginia's defense is very similar, the success rate on defense for Kansas State, they rank 58th, and the defensive success rate for West Virginia is 79th. So now you have a better defense and a much better offense going for Kansas State. The other issue that I found on the Kansas State side, and really where I really wanted to play this game, is Football Outsiders does a really good job on breaking down special teams. And Kansas State ranks 42nd in special teams, and West Virginia 113. That's a big edge, because that then makes a field position edge. It makes a lot of different things happen when you got a better kicker, you got better punt returners, you got better punt coverage guys, and it makes a huge difference. The other side of it, too, was West Virginia is missing their middle linebacker today. They got a cornerback that's out. So there's a defensive problem for West Virginia that I don't think they're going to be able to overcome. And then they're missing their tight end today. So I went ahead and I played that game, Kansas State -5.5. The one game, and you can push me over the edge on this game or not, that I'm really thinking about, and I haven't done it yet because I was looking for +7 and I was getting +6.5. Of course, obviously you can buy it up. I think might be 7 now. I can't understand why Indiana is favored by 7 points over anybody. And they're 7-point favorites today over Rutgers, and that's 135-136. And what my numbers tell me in this particular game is that these are very similar teams. So I think it should be more like a 3-point spread, not a 7-point spread. And if I was going to give an edge to any team, Rutgers has better numbers. So Rutgers is 110th on EPA. Indiana is 122nd. Now, there's only 130 teams, so these are two shitty teams. And then you have offensively, Rutgers is 123 and Indiana is 127. So holy crap. But defense, Rutgers is 40th, Indiana is 83. And that plays for me, meaning that I don't think Indiana's 127th ranked offense is going to go up and down the field on the 40th ranked defense on EPA. So all Rutgers has to do is play them pretty tight, and I think they're going to be okay. So +7, I thought was a pretty good number. And I was trying to think if I have any other things, because I had something else in that game. Here it is. The other part of it was, and here's where it shows up too. The defensive success rate for Rutgers, they ranked 33rd in the country. And the defensive success rate for Indiana, 99. So I kind of like the idea here that no matter how bad the offenses are, because they're about the same bad, but when it comes to defense, Rutgers is way, way better than Indiana, and they're getting 7 points. So I kind of like that idea. What do you think?
That was one of the games I was looking at, because a lot of times in college football, you look at two bad teams or two good teams and you shake your head and you say, wow, that number's wrong. Or the other way I like to look at it, the kid in the candy store, when you open up the lines and you're like, oh my God, and wow, you're going to give me that. So I'm looking at that game that you're talking about. And what a little alarming to me is that I'm showing a 79% ticket count on Rutgers, 80% of the money also on Rutgers, yet the line opened at 6.5 and is crept to a flat 7. So there is some reverse line movement coming in on Indiana. So then we'll peel the onion back a tad further, and let's see if we'll wake up here. And of course it doesn't. Come on. Computer's temperamental today, peoples. I apologize here.
Yeah, just give it some coffee, Jeff.
I know I'm on the tea for my throat today. So, okay. So you got the 24.5 under for Indiana, and you got the old 18.5 under for Rutgers. I mean, if you really peel these Leafs back, they're giving you the hint here, 24-17, 23-17. So you're right in that ballpark. And the under over for the game, come on, opened at 43. It's dropped circus down to 41.5. So, again, one of these games that you think will be a low scoring game, and it'll be 23-23 at halftime, So yeah. I like where your eyes are. I'm just a tad. Okay. Indiana, Penix is out for the quarterback for Indiana. It just came up on Don Best now. I don't know if he has been out. Do you know who's been
he's been out. He's been out from right at the beginning of the season, and then they kind of got him back, and he hasn't been playing the full games. And he was their superstar last year, but that's because he could run and he could throw. And this year he's been hurt, so he hasn't been able to run. He hasn't been able to do much. They're actually a better team when he's not in the game.
Okay, so that's information and news that's everyone was expected. So I think you're right around what the number is. It could be, again, one of those that you cover in 53, 54 minutes into the game, and then it's a 6-point game, and then you give up that late field goal. So I think that one's going to be real tight.
I just was looking at it. It's kind of one of those ones that I was like, okay, well, maybe I didn't bet it. I call it a lean if that's what you want. But I would, if I was going to bet it, I would bet Rutgers. I was planning on betting Rutgers, and then when I looked at the numbers, I thought the numbers didn't make sense of how it was being bet. So I'm like, maybe I missed something. And then the last one I looked at noon was Baylor. I like Baylor. but I don't like the steam that's been coming in on Baylor, so I just jumped ship on that game. That is 150. That game I think is down to what, 3.5 now for Oklahoma.
3.5 at Westgate, flat 4s on the whole Vegas Strip. And I'm glad you brought that game up because, again, a lot of sharps, a lot of people all week have been talking the Baylor side. Oklahoma's overrated. What have they done? I get all that. And I was just talking to someone before we came on the air about this game. I absolutely love Baylor. I will not touch this game because of exactly what you just said. Way too much steam. And as we were starting the show, someone reached out and goes, "Hey, what do you think of Oklahoma Baylor today?" I think Baylor at noon has become that public trendy dog. And I'm just going to
I think it's a lot of line movement, right? I think that game opened at -6, and now it's now down to 3.5. So if you were going to play Baylor, why would you play him now at 3.5? You're playing the wrong number. I mean, and a number matters. So you in this particular case, I think you've missed your window on Baylor. And I'm certainly not strong enough on Oklahoma to go and say, okay, well, it's been bet so far down, it's the other way now.
I got a question for you. And sometimes I like to say this is a telltale sign that Vegas or the time people that put these games scheduled already know what's going to happen. Why I say this is Penn State, Michigan. That's usually a primetime 8:00 game, whiteout game, electric. And it's a high noon game where Penn State opened up -1 and another big steam here. Michigan is up to 2.5, -3 at DraftKings right now. Again, that you look at Penn State. And it's real hard to win there. But noon versus, I have to say that has to give Michigan added edge here.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to Michigan being the favorite. I thought they're the better team. I think that Penn State's a lot like Wisconsin. I think Penn State can play a lot of defense. They just can't move the ball on offense very well. And then I also think that Michigan is a good defense, I wouldn't say they're an elite defense. I think they're a good defense, an upper echelon defense. So my opinion would be more of, I think that you could probably get away with playing an under here. But at the same time that I say you can play an under here, 48 is not very damn much in an NFL or in a college football game anymore, especially with two teams that have the recruits like Michigan and Penn State do. Those kids, even though their rankings aren't very good on offense, they still have talented players there. So a 48 total is it's pretty low for a game like that.
Yeah, they're giving you. Well, I mean, the 1-point spread, to start, they're giving you the 24-23 Penn State. Now it's been steamed all the way to Michigan -2, 2.5. I'm going to just break down the other game that I was talking about early today. It's at 2:00, and I could be going into a bee's nest here. 157, 158 on the rotation. Utah at Arizona. Again, the ticket price right now on Utah is at about 70-30. The money's all Utah, but what I wanted to show everyone is the line first. The full game line is 24, and under over a 54. I went into the first half numbers here, and Utah is -14. So when I go to the team totals for the first half, come on. I got Utah 20.5 over -150. And I got Arizona 6.5 over -140. Now, I'll give you a couple of nuggets here in this regards. When these numbers are just short of a key number and they're highly juiced, the mindset says, oh, well, Utah's going to get at least 21 here, no problems. And of course, Arizona's going to get at least to 7 and a touchdown. They're here for a reason, okay? So they're telling you, hey, you know what? We'll take our chance that Arizona doesn't get 7. We'll take our chance that Utah doesn't get 21, and you're going to lay the extra juice. So I'm going to go one last step here, and the actual under-over is, for the first half, opened at 28.5, and it's currently 28.5, 29.5 at Westgate. So here's what I'm saying is, I'm telling you, Utah's going to get to at least 20, okay? I'm also going to go on a limb and says Arizona gets 0 to 3, they don't get to 7. So even if they get to 6 and I get Utah to 20, I get the push there, but I'm going to go Utah 20 minimum, and I'm going to go Arizona 0 or 3 for first half. That gets us our first half winner. What does your numbers say on Utah or Arizona?
Well, my numbers say Arizona sucks. So when you look at it, offense for Utah, they are 69th passing and number 1 rushing. And they're going to face a defense in Arizona that's number 98 passing and 50th against the run. So even though they're pretty good against the run, they're facing a much better rushing offense. And when you look at the success rate for Utah is 22 in the country, and the defensive success rate for Arizona is 56. And you flip that, and it's one offense success rate Arizona 82, and defense success rate for Utah is 52. So I think that you're really looking at a big margin. Utah is a big favorite in this game. The only concern I ever had in looking at this particular game for Utah, they play Oregon next week. So how much do they really want to be on the road and beat Arizona? I don't know. Maybe they just show up and they can beat Arizona. But every time I've ever bet on Utah, and it's kind of like when I bet on Kansas State, which I did today. I like Utah. I like Kansas State as underdogs. I don't like them as favorites because they don't seem to throw up a whole bunch of points. And then when you bet on them or you're betting against them, all of a sudden they score 50 on you. So it is what it is. It just seems that way. Some of these teams do that to you. But yeah, I don't see any issue with that. I don't think that's going to be a competitive game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and a lot of times what I like to do, and we like to do here, is if I can find some value in a full game, I'm diving into it. Okay, like to peel the layers back a little further, find some stuff, what I call hidden gems and nuggets that are less attractive, or people haven't gone that step. I love team totals in college football. I love them in basketball too, and there's nothing better. We gave out a team total a couple of weeks ago. We had Tennessee. I think it was Tennessee was at Wake Forest or something, and we had a team total of over 27.5, and they had 31 in the second quarter. And so those are nice, but they're always so hard to find. And again, taking the first half approach, if the team's locked in and they come to play, you can get some real, step on the gas, take the heart out of them. And then you don't have to worry about the back doors coming into play in the second half. So there's some good reasons why, and obviously there's some bad reasons why not. Some teams come in sluggish, like you said. Hey, we got Oregon next week, and they sleepwalk the first half. Coach gives them a good pep talk at halftime and says, hey, boys, if you want the Oregon game to mean something, you better win today. So, but that's that there. Anything closing, Scott, for everyone to maybe take a peek at later today or tonight, in case we don't get back here for everyone?
Well, I played a game at 3:30. I played rotation number 139. I took Maryland against Michigan State today. I think you might like this one because it's some reverse line movement looking like on there in terms of, I think there's a lot of money on Michigan State, yet the number's dropping. I played them. I got them at plus 12.5. Michigan State's in a spot where they play Ohio State next week. So, and they were just off of a game where they beat Michigan, right? So this is going to be one of those scenarios where I think they're in that sandwich spot where they just off of an emotional high, then they got a look ahead game the following week. So this is not a good spot for Michigan State. So situationally, it's not very good. And then when you start to look at how it kind of plays out, you got to remember Michigan State's not Michigan, and Michigan State is not Wisconsin, meaning that, yes, Michigan State has a good defense. But what I will tell you is you can throw the football on Michigan State. Michigan State ranks 71st against the pass. And Maryland ranks 107th against the run, and Michigan State ranks 6th against the run. So Maryland might not run the football one down this time, unless it's a scramble drill or something. They might throw 50 passes in this game. So I think that puts Maryland in a situation where they can stay within, say, 14 points. And I'm hoping they stay within the 12.5 here. And I think that's the leverage that I'm using because Michigan State's offense ranks 21st. Maryland's defense is 85th. But at the same time, if that team doesn't show up today, or at least for a little while today, Maryland maybe gets out there and they can be competitive. And I'm counting on them to stay within that number. The other games that I passed on at 3:30 was rotation 127. I like Minnesota against Iowa today, but that number's dropping. I think the money. I don't want to follow that steam either, so I'm staying off of that one. And Iowa State, I liked Iowa State today. That's 179 rotation number. I backed off of that one. And I backed off of that one because I think the money's on the wrong, or the money was going the wrong way there for a little bit. But it looks like 10.5 now, and it's 76% of the money, or that's what I'm showing anyway on this other website. But
yeah, the Iowa State 56% of the tickets, and it's a 51-49 split on the monies. And actually, I'm glad you brought this game up because I was looking into Iowa State first half here as well, and I'm showing at 10.5 for the full game. And when I broke that down, Scotty, for the first half, 1 second here, it's 6.5. It opened at 5.5. It's 6.5. You could get a flat 6 at South Point, and then the team totals for my first half here was 16.5 over 143. And again, Texas Tech 10.5 under. So they give you the carrot saying, hey, we're going to allow you to take under in Texas Tech 10.5, which in my eyes, they're probably getting a 13. And so they're going to get you juiced here. And then Iowa State at 16.5 over 143. They want you to come on board because they're going to get, 17 or better. So, but I was on that one. And those other two that you talked about, again, spot on here. I think both of public trendy dogs. The steam today and some of these games is outrageous. And the other game I saw like that too is BC Georgia Tech. Seen a lot of people on BC today, which I like. The quarterback's back. They're playing better. It's a good spot for them to win, but the whole world's on them.
Well, here's where I think a secret play is. It's rotation 202. I think you can play Florida State today against Miami, take the points at Florida State at home, and I think you'll be a happy person at the end. I'm waiting to see if it gets to 3, but I think Florida State is a better defense, and I think Florida State's the right way to play this game. And I think if you look at the money, there's a lot of money on Miami, and they haven't moved that damn number.
I like where your eyes and your head are on that one because the whole world's on Miami, better quarterback, playing better. So why didn't that line open up 3.5, 4, 4.5? And quickly we'll wrap this up here so everyone can run to the windows. But the perfect example is Thursday night, Scotty. The Ravens-Dolphin game opened at 6.5, not 8, not 9, not 9.5 or 10. Vegas says, let's open at 6.5 because we know what the public's going to do. They're going to take it to 7, to 7.5, to 8. It was 9 by kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Game, set, match, not even close. Never. Miami was not covering for 1 second in that game. So when you talk about this game here, why didn't it open up 3.5, 4? It's 2.5 because they expect the public to now push that to 3, 3.5.
Well, I think they're trying to. I think they left I think they're keeping it right there, right? I mean, that tells me if they're putting the money in on Miami, they're not changing the number. That tells me they want the money on Miami. So I like Florida State in this game.
No, Vegas takes stands, and they're definitely taking a stand on Florida State. What time did you say that game was?
It's 3:30.
3:30.
Rotation 202.
Yeah, 69% of the tickets, 72% of the money, all in on Miami and Florida. Opened at 2.5, hasn't moved. So good eyes there, my brother. What we'll try to do today is let's see how the board plays out. Maybe you and I can get together, around that 4:30 time, 5 o'clock for these guys. So maybe we can set up a nightcap for them and get them maybe ready for Sunday. How's that sound?
It's great with me, my friend.
All right. So I talked about Wisconsin first half. I love that play of noon. I talked about a lean on the Utah first half, both -14 plays. But the one play that I would suggest is the Wisconsin -14. Scotty, what do you want them to get to the window for?
Well, I played Kansas State, rotation number 122. I played Maryland, rotation 139. And I'm probably going to play Florida State. I'm just waiting to see if it gets to 3. I'll probably play it at 2.5. Doesn't matter.
So from myself, Jeff Dawson, Scott Webb, EC Sports Invest on Twitter for me, and Webby20MLB on Twitter for him, and from my boy Scotty Kelly and Yeti. Great cup. If you don't have one of these Yetis, I strongly suggest it. Great product. Myself and Scott wish everyone the best, and be careful out there today. There is so much action. You don't want to, just bury your bankroll today chasing. If you're having a rough week, remember there's always tomorrow, and Monday starts a new week. So listen, if you have a problem, first of all, if you're betting today, always bet with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up that phone. There's an 800 number right there. Reach out, ask for help. Why? Because we care. Okay. Stay in your lane today. Enjoy it. Embrace the action. Don't chase the action, please. So for myself and Scott, God bless. Have a blessed day. Best of luck with your tickets. And keep an eye on our timelines. We might be able to put together something between 4 and 5 today. So best of luck. And if we don't see you this afternoon, we'll definitely see you tomorrow morning.